Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind, these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy.
All right, folks, here we are after market close on Wednesday, February 2nd. We're going to take a look at SoFi. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that, SoFi at the moment is down almost 3% after hours. And as far as I can tell, it's not SoFi specific news, shocking, that's dragging it down, but rather Facebook, which had a miss on profit or revenue or something, and is getting just absolutely beaten down. Profit miss, light revenue guidance, and is dragging, I think, a bunch of tech stocks and growth stocks down to as you know, growth recently de-SPACed, recently IPO'd, what have you. Definitely the most vulnerable, seemingly, of all the stocks to any sort of fluctuations, especially downward fluctuations in the market. But as we've seen, they also can have really outsized green days when things are moving up. Now, couple Facebook's situation with Spotify, which I don't know exactly how their earnings turned out. We're just a bit after close here, but they had this candle right after close, which is down over 21.5%. And they're trying to recover a little bit at the moment. I don't know if that will persist or not, but this Facebook situation obviously could have a pretty big impact on the market. And let's just hope we don't limit down tonight for all the bulls. But you see Penn drawing down, SPY coming down. I imagine UVXY is going to be up quite a bit. Yep. Palantir, another one of our growth buddies here, down the exact same. Very close to what SoFi is. So in any case, I'll get on with the SoFi video, but it would be weird to be sitting here down so much today and after hours now and not mention that this happens to be the day that I'm making this video. So also, I know it's been a few days since I've made a video. A couple of things. One, I've been spending a lot of additional time focused on trading and trying out different things. I'm hoping that will be beneficial to the channel over the long run. I'm hoping to share a bunch of those things soon. And can you tell I'm rusty? And also, I kind of felt that on a day-to-day basis, more or less, SoFi was kind of just following the overall market around again. I kind of felt that it was just sort of like having outsized red days when the market was drawing down and sort of outsized green days when the market was coming back up, and it was kind of making this like cup, which maybe now there's a handle. I don't know. That might be incredibly optimistic. But that being my feeling, and being that I had mentioned that several videos in a row before today, it kind of felt like I don't want to keep making videos and just being like, hey, we're in a really volatile time, and SoFi being in its like extra vulnerable state as it is as a company in its life cycle as it pertains to the public market, is going to swing more wildly than the market as a whole, but it's just kind of swinging with it, but just in an outsized fashion. So that's why I here today, and I haven't been here for a few days. So apologies for that being sort of a slow several days, but that's why. Now, I had also mentioned several videos ago that I have a few different areas of support and resistance on the charts, but my feeling was we really are going to be beholden to the dollar and the 50-cent levels, the psychological levels. And you see today we really just battered around from, I guess if you look at pre-market, you could say 1350 down to about 12. And now in the after hours, we're struggling to hold. I mean, we're not holding 12 at the moment, so we may be struggling to hold that. In this run up, in the day we ran to about 1250, a little bit above it at certain points, a bit below it, and then trying to hold the 12 as we were going into close. So I still think that continues to predominantly be the case. And, since this has been a couple of days, we could scroll back for a few. So you see, this day as well coming up here to 13.5, right? Makes sense, coming down to about 13 and then just sort of like waffling around 13 again. And the day prior to that, jumping off of 11. Yikes. And thankfully, at least jumping up to 12 and then touching nearly 1250. right? And then just kind of holding the line above 12 for most of the rest of the day. So I do think that that continues to be the case for the most parts. The 50 cent and the dollar, for the nearest in dollar markers on the intraday, to me, seem to be still the key critical areas. Now, to me, if there was sort of like a pattern kind of taking shape here, you could potentially say that there is this sort of cup forming. I would like to see a bit more spread out of a cup. If you think back to, well, I'm not gonna fiddle around with the chart enough. But you think back to several months ago when we had like a broader cup and handle forming, like to me, that's sort of more interesting than this kind of very short term like cup here. Handle that, it's not to say that it couldn't be taking that pattern or that shape, but it's just to say that if that's over the course of like 6 candles, there's sort of like potentially not a lot on the bone. I think of a lot of these pattern formations similar to how you think of a range or building a base, right? The bigger the base, the bigger the move. Similarly here, right? If we build a pattern of a cup and handle over 6 candles, there might not be, even if that pattern does play out the way that you would expect it to, there might not be a lot that comes of it, just because it's a pretty short setup. So you might have a pretty short follow through. And like I said, that's even to question whether or not there is any follow through at all. So I wouldn't take that one too seriously. For me, I would be looking, let's see what actually draws in well here. So the high on this day was 1647. So we grab that and then catch the top of this. So we're sort of caught under maybe 2 different patterns here, sort of resistance trend lines. It does not want to stick. Okay, so we'll just put it there. It's not exactly where I'd like it to be, but the chart, I don't want to fight the chart anymore. So that's sort of like the more aggressive one, right? It could break that easier. This would be kind of the more conservative one that would take a little bit longer for it to work itself through. And so, look maybe at either of these to be broken. They're pretty tight in at the moment because they both center around yesterday's candlestick high. And then, there could be a third one, which is even more conservative, 1386 right here. And we grab the high of that candle again, which I can't even see anymore, but maybe somewhere around there. And, you sort of like have this fan of resistance situated above SoFi at the moment. So I don't think I'm going to shock anyone to tell you that it's in a bear. SoFi itself is in a bear trend at the moment. And so, of course, there's just going to be layers upon layers upon layers of resistance above it. Now, I would have come in and thrown something above this 1308 level, but 2 things. One, I'd rather see it start to break some of these trend line resistances, right? So that would put it above there anyway. And I still think that the same thing holds true. All that I'm going to do here is draw you something very, very close to $13.50 and $14 probably. And so I would just continue to look to those areas of psychological price resistance and sort of just have those in mind as you play these things through. But this is what I look for at the moment. I mean, I could put in an uptrend here. Maybe I'll put it in for a moment and we can look at it, and then I'll get rid of it just because I don't want it to super clutter up the chart. And this is incredibly aggressive, just meaning it's very, very steep, right? So it's sort of, if this plays out, it's compressing itself between this uptrend support and these 3 swings of downtrend resistance. So we'll see if it's able to work itself through those that should put its over 13, maybe pressing 1350 to test that level, if it's even able to make this move. Obviously, if the overall market takes a beating here, draws down really harshly, market factors being what they have been lately, meaning super volatile, plus overall earnings season, plus some sort of like world event kind of question marks or hazard signs or what have you that are out there. I think this could very quickly breed a lot of uncertainty and a lot of folks going, I'm gonna just chill for a moment. It's like I feel like a lot of folks were there anyway, and then some risk and some money flowed back into the markets, and then maybe some folks thought, okay, that was fun to try for a few days, but I don't think that sort of things are feeling that certain yet that I necessarily want to jump back in and run with it. So the rest of the week, since today's Wednesday, but the next couple of days will be super telling, I think. What's this reaction to Facebook and or Spotify look like? Though Spotify is recovering a bit at the moment still, but it's certainly going to struggle against the grain if it's able to do anything there. But these are 10-minute candles, red after red after red with old Facebook. And so, it's obviously it has huge implications, huge swings in the markets. I don't know what it's doing to Apple here, barely touching it, interestingly enough. So we'll see sort of how that plays out, how resilient the market is as it pertains to Facebook. I mean, for the degree to which it is held by a bunch of the S&P and NASDAQ, there's only sort of so much wiggle room there, but I think the rest of it is sort of like, how is the reaction going to be in the overall market, especially knowing that there was some positive reaction for sure to several earnings plays leading up to this one. We had a bunch of risk on buying pressure coming in earlier in the week, interestingly enough. So we'll see if today was kind of like a tipping point or a reversal flipping point in terms of what was happening early in the week, and if Facebook just kind of makes that pile on happen or what have you, or if folks go, okay, this is a good enough dip, this seems like it's good deal territory, and I'm going to scoop this up, and maybe it actually kind of drives things back higher. But we'll see. Like I said, that's not SoFi specific, but it's hard to ignore it in the midst of a SoFi video when it's A, happening at this very moment, and B, my overall feeling for the last couple of weeks at least has been that SoFi is just kind of getting dragged around by the markets. Basically before the bank charter, I felt like that was happening. And then if you recall, my videos around the bank charter were basically like, I hope that this could maybe sort of extract us from just getting jostled around with the market. But it lasted for a couple of days, and then it was just sort of like back in line with whatever the market was doing. So, and we've been stuck in that ever since. So we'll see what happens. But I did want to check in and sort of not let too many days go by. So just know that I haven't gone anywhere, and hopefully I have some interesting videos coming out soon, some of the stuff that I've been working on while I've been away from the channel. All right, folks, I hope that your trading week has been going well, and I hope that you're able to finish it off strong in the days ahead. And as always, I appreciate you watching. I will see you in the next video.